Ladies and gentlemen, this is Casually Spike.
The wokest magic podcast on the internet, baby.
My name is Jaron Denham, and I'm here with Dakota Marker.
Hey, guys.
Bill Gantz.
Hello.
Devin Harrison.
Hello.
And for the fifth time, the returning reigning champion of the world, Jeff Moore.
I have nothing.
Well, that's good. I wanted to make you silent.
Well, you're certainly no Ric Flair.
Woo!
Because to be the man, you got to beat the man.
You're on my list.
Scratch. All right, Jaron. Well, Jaron did the intro this week because I screwed mine up. So, Jaron, what are we doing this week?
The rundown is we're going to be talking about Rudy with Alpha Investments real quick. He was hacked on Saturday night, and we're going to go into detail about that.
Rippin' pepperoni.
No, he'll be back. He'll be fine. Spoiler season is still going on. We have 2 more spoilers. The discussion is play mistakes, and learning experiences. Because I, for one, don't make mistakes.
That's not what the doctor told me last week.
Hey, that was a learning experience.
Can I take a learning experience as a deductible on my taxes?
You could, actually, depending on how much of a mistake it was.
Depends.
All right, so, Bill, you are the one that actually subscribes and does Patreon for Rudy. So,
yes.
Would you go ahead and touch on that?
So Rudy, his YouTube account got hacked Saturday.
This is the Alpha Investments channel, by the way.
Right. Alpha Investments, hosted by
Rudolph something.
By creepy
Rudy.
By creepy Rudy.
Creepy Rudy, all kinds of Rudies. I was actually going to look up
Creepy
the Patreon message if you give me a minute.
Yeah, that's fine. For those of you that aren't familiar with Alpha Investments, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's actually a magic investment channel on YouTube. He is very unique in how he went into the investment opportunities into magic, and he's very, very humorous with how he explains things. He had his 30,000 subscriber episode probably about, a month ago?
Yes,
Yeah.
something like that.
And he was joking that it was his millionth.
Yes.
And he was getting ready to blow up a bunch of Power 9 and stuff with M80s. It was the greatest thing I had ever seen on YouTube. But
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
I've got it.
Yeah.
So Rudy, how long was his account hacked? Basically,
It was basically a week now.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Someone took control of his account through, I believe it was phishing.
Yeah, basically, somebody pretended to be, according to what I've heard, somebody sent him an email, and they were spoofing Google AdSense.
Yeah.
And they asked him to, submit his information to make sure his AdSense wouldn't get screwed up. Well, surprise, surprise, the email was from G00gle.com.
Yeah.
So Rudy got his account information stolen. And then, according to a video made by Tellurian Community College, apparently whoever took his information changed over his AdSense information in a way that even when he got his account back, he couldn't he couldn't route the money correctly back to his own account. And it was, stuck on the hacker's account. I don't know how any of that works. I've never used AdSense. But, yeah, he was just saying that it was just stuck like this, and there wasn't really a whole lot he could do about it. Although, apparently, according to what I've been hearing, he's gotten a lot of this ironed out. But he is on what they call, a safety suspension period, just to make absolutely sure that he gets all his stuff back, and that it's actually him who has it.
Yeah, and I'm actually on his Twitter right now because he had a Twitter, a little bit before this actually started.
Uh-huh.
But he has gone from, 15 tweets to 215 over the last day and a half.
Yeah.
I'd imagine.
Yeah. And he did apparently get his account back.
Yes.
Yeah, and Google actually has everything disabled and banned right now.
Correct, including his Gmail account.
Yeah, his Gmail, YouTube, AdSense.
It's all been
everything
disabled.
Is banned.
Correct.
Yeah, and as far as I know, this is just a step to make sure that it actually gets back into the right owner's hands.
That's my understanding as well.
Yeah, and I mean, like, that's pretty standard computer security. Google will probably, like, since he did have a decent chunk of people, like, they'll probably call him or, like, text him or, like, whatever he has for security measures, they'll probably get him through that and just, like, absolutely, like, positively identify him to make sure that it's him and then give him his stuff back. So, I mean, I'm glad that it worked out for Rudy, because I know that some people don't like him for various reasons, but I mean, like, that's no reason to poop on the guy because he got his account information stolen.
No, not at all.
So, in this email or message that he sent to his Patreons, he said, his patrons, he said, "I will be releasing a public video on the unbelievable details of what unfolded and how the account was actually recovered." He said, "This story is so Hollywood. I honestly think a lot of people won't believe it." And he says, so again, he thanks everybody for their support, and the channel only survived because of a bunch of people who have never met him.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's I'm looking forward to the actual story and his details, because I'm sure it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. 'Cause, go ahead, Devin.
What's actually with like what happened with the account? The reason why he had such, not him, but like in general, why they have such a hard time of like recovering it, is because when the person that hacks it or takes it over, they strip the email from it.
Yeah.
So on Google's end, it says that it's still active, but there's nothing linked to that name.
Yeah.
So you can't open up another account, which you can only have one account,
Right.
I think, per household.
Yeah, you can actually. I think it might be per user.
Per user?
Yeah, I don't think it's per household.
I think it would be a per user thing because, like, for example, Google Chromecast, it can identify different users, and then, like, say you have YouTube queued up, it'll show who queued up each video in the queue.
Yep.
So you can it's one account per user is the rule.
Okay. Yeah, that's what the hackers do though. They'll strip like information that's attached to that account to where the account is still active and makes money and whatnot, but you can't do anything with it because your information is not there, but it's still
It's there, but it's not there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, they strip out all the relevant information, like any data recovery or anything like that, because to them, if they lose it, it's just an easily sunk cost because it wasn't theirs to begin with, so it's all upside when they take it.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so a little bit of cybersecurity for you. Remember, it could happen to you.
Yeah, this is actually a very eye-opening experience for I think a lot of people that do YouTube videos and whatnot, because you should not actually. I think Google actually uses lowercase on everything anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was saying that it was uppercase with zeros for O's.
Yeah.
In Google, and because it was like this, and then it had to redirect. That's what got him off guard, and that's how they caught him.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just like, you know, especially when it comes to money, it's really easy to tempt people into this kind of stuff. Like, I remember I studied network administration, so I got regular lessons on cybersecurity, and one of my favorite lessons we ever had was our network admin did, like, monthly newsletters on how to protect yourself, like everybody in the campus got them. And one month he sent out an email talking about like phishing scams. And what he did was, like, at the bottom of the email he put, "For more information, click here."
Yeah.
And what it was, it had a link, and the link was to the link. When you hovered over the link, you know how when you're on your browser you can hover over a link and then it'll show you what the link is in the
Hypertext?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when you hover over the link, it looks like a Wikipedia article to phishing.
Yeah.
But when you clicked on it, he had it coded in such a way that when you clicked on it, it went to a bogus page that just said, like, if you had been submitting account information or whatever, you would have just fallen for a phishing scam.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was so interesting, the way that he just did that. And the thing was, the page was also written so it would track the number of hits it got. There were about 300 people on our campus. Got about 150 hits.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
And this is why.
How many of those were people just curious? Like, if I had got an email like that, I would definitely have been tempted since it was a known, safe.
Well, that's what I mean. Like,
sender.
His email was like, that's the thing. He sent it from his like account email, and it was just like, you know.
I'd be curious.
I would probably guess that about half the people who clicked on the link were probably just curious. But still, I mean, like, even if you just take 75 out of 300, that's still 25%.
Right.
Now apply that to a general population.
I was going to say, this is also of college students who are generally computer literate.
Yeah, like, this was when I was in
This
college
isn't-
2 years ago.
This isn't
well,
like
yeah.
my parents' level of computer illiteracy.
Honestly, like, nowadays I have seen.
Sorry, Dad.
Like, I have seen kids actually fall deeper into trouble because of phishing, because they're not paying attention to their own cybersecurity.
Well, I was gonna say this also goes kind of hand in hand, but whenever Blizzard with World of Warcraft, you know how they would always get hit with phishing because beta tests and everything else. They would always say, if you get an email from Blizzard, it's better to go to your actual account and see if anything's up there. And if not, you can probably disregard it as a phish. If there's something actually legit on your account, you're on your actual account. So.
Well, if you'd like to see some really interesting examinations of phishing scams, there's actually a website I can recommend. It is a website called 419eater.com. And what that website is a collection of tech-savvy pranksters who regularly take spam emails and different scam emails. Like, for example, the famous Nigerian prince emails. Well, the reason they got their name 419eater is 419 is the area code of Nigeria. Yeah. So, and since a lot of those scams originate in Nigeria, like, they've got a whole, like, dissertation on it. It's really interesting, actually. But yeah, I can recommend going there, checking out their content. Do we want to go ahead and move on?
I mean, unless anybody else has anything to add,
I think we've covered the whole hacking and cybersecurity thing pretty well.
Yeah.
Don't be dumb. I know it's kind of hard in 2016, but don't be dumb.
Well, 2016 is almost over. Now we've got 2017 to worry about.
Yeah.
Well, 2016 almost tried to take Carrie Fisher today, so.
We don't talk about that. We don't talk about that.
It was unsuccessful.
Yeah. Well, that we know of.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
What if she's actually a lizard?
Oh my God.
Well, she was in stable condition. So.
Stay woke.
Oh, well, that's fine then. Yeah, she's fine. All right. So, our 2 spoilers.
I want the good one.
Okay, I'm going to take the crappy one. We have a planeswalker. No. All right, so I guess I'll take the bad one.
Is it a kitty?
It is not. It is a blue card called Quicksmith Spy.
Sounds like a U card.
It's pretty crappy, actually.
So it's a U card.
No. 3 and a blue for a creature human artificer. It's a rare. When Quicksmith Spy enters the battlefield, target artifact you control gains tap draw a card for as long as you control Quicksmith Spy. And she's a 2/3.
So it's a U card. Because you draw the card.
This card is going to be great in everything for EDH, and I can't wait to see it be able to make a Soul Ring tap for 2 or draw a card, and it is going to be in every deck everywhere. Bulk.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty much. Although I'm interested to see because, like, it seems like since they printed this along with Quicksmith Rebel, this pretty much strikes me as cycle. So, like, that means we'll have a white, black, and a green one. So I'm interested to see what those do. Like,
I bet the white one's going to gain life.
wonder if the black one would, like, destroy a creature. That seems really good.
That seems broken, so I don't think so.
I mean, 4 mana, but the problem is you have to have 4 mana to play the whatever rebel, and then, or not the Quicksmith whatever it is, and then you also have to keep it alive while you have this effect.
What if the black one just gave...
And I mean, Royal Assassin was 3 mana, so...
They don't do stuff like that anymore.
Oh.
They give menace, not fear or intimidate.
Yeah, or Landwalk.
Yep, no land walk.
But, yeah.
What about Denim Walk?
No.
Maybe an Unglued 3.
Well, the problem with that is Heirloom Wrangler When people had it, if they were getting attacked by the Wrangler, they would actually take their pants off and block. Didn't see this play, did you?
Do you think the green one could be like tap to go get a land?
No, I think it would be tap to give a creature like +2/+2.
Probably.
Or tap for green.
I could see that. But yeah, you know, just more bulk stuff.
Kill them brain cells.
What brain cells?
All right, and we are going to move on to our big spoiler.
This is the worst card ever.
I mean, I'll be honest. Tezzeret the Schemer.
Well, it's a blue card.
He is a
bad.
Tezzeret Planeswalker with 5 starting loyalty. He costs 2 blue, black. His +1 says, create a colorless artifact token named Ethereum Cell with tap, sacrifice this artifact to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. His -2 is target creature gets +X -X until end of turn, where X is the number of artifacts you control, aka Flowstone effect. And his ult, which is -7, is you get an emblem with, at the beginning of combat on your turn, target artifact you control becomes an artifact creature with base power and toughness 5/5. I'll be honest, at first I thought this card was really interesting because you could lead this into some kind of like maybe Sultai or like Esper ramp deck thing. But the more I read this card, the more I'm just like not impressed with it at all. Like, I'm almost ready to say that Tezzeret, Master of freaking Metal, is better than this card.
Honestly, the name on the other Tezzeret, Master of Metal, makes it better than this card.
Yeah, like...
Have they confirmed if this is the pre-con or is this the
This
actual?
is the actual one.
This is the
Because
one
if
you
look
get
down
in...
at the bottom. What does that collector number say?
Got it.
Yeah,
Plus, the thing is, this one, like, looks like it's in foil.
it is. Yeah.
So...
But the way you actually tell is the collector number. So this Tezzeret is number 137 out of 184. So that means that it is part of the set. We go to the Planeswalker Tezzeret. Down to bottom, it says it's 190 of 184. So that means it is part of the set, but it is not in the set.
It's standard... It's kind of like those... like the standard legal expansions to the core set that they had in the deck builders toolkits of years past.
Like Terra Stomper.
And Shivan Dragon.
And Sphinx of Magosi.
Where they're standard legal and you can play them, but you can't get them in normal packs.
So what you're saying is people are going to run the pre-con more and they're going to run the actual Tezzeret.
Probably not.
They're
like,
probably going to run them about the same.
Which is 0.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, I just don't see an archetype for this guy right now, unless Amonkhet does something to change my mind. Or, well, maybe, who knows? Like, we haven't seen a whole lot of the set yet. Maybe there's some kind of, like, blue-black control deck that wants Tezzeret the Schemer. Because it just seems like they wouldn't just make him crappy for no reason. You know what I mean? Because, like, this whole time, like, since Kaladesh started, we've been hyping new Tezzeret. So for him to be terrible is either a ridiculous design oversight, or we're not seeing... We don't have the whole picture yet,
Yeah,
so we don't know.
We only know, like, what, 20 cards? If that?
Yeah.
So...
And I mean, you know, like... the thing is, my reasoning for liking the intro deck Tezzeret more is just strictly because the intro deck Tezzeret actually lets you get things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, his uptick is go get whatever's on top of your, like, the next artifact on your deck.
Yeah.
Which, like, has applications. And I mean, like, yeah, the Schemer lets you make extra mana, yippee. But, like, unless there's a bunch of cards that make Ethereum cells, which I don't think there will be, because it kind of reminds me that they're, like, kind of piggybacking off of the whole clue thing. So we're going to have clues and Ethereum cells and just all these cheap little artifacts, which is where I think they think it's going to be good. But, like, unless Ethereum cells are a part of the set, which they probably won't be because Ethereum is pretty much exclusive to Tezzeret.
Yeah.
I just don't see a lot of theming around this guy. I just don't think he's very good.
I don't think so either. I really think that he's going to be, like, all excited. Like, people are going to be all excited for him.
Yeah, he's going to pre-order at $20 like all the other hyped Planeswalkers, and then we're going to play with him, and he's not going to be any good. And he's going to sit in the $5 bin with Saheeli.
And now Nissa.
Tybalt.
And Dovin.
Dovin, yeah.
Well, no,
Tybalt was.
Tybalt gets to sit in the dollar bins
Yeah.
and cry with all the other bulkers.
Tybalt also debuted at $50. I cracked a foil one.
Yeah.
Well, that's
And got rid of it pretty much immediately. And
That's-
then, like, a week later, it tanked.
good.
And then you bought 50 of them just for the same $50.
Good for
Well,
you.
I'm up-
Good
I'm
for
up-
you, Skippy.
I'm up to, like, 12.
All right, so I think we've touched enough on the crappy spoilers. So there was one thing that hit Reddit right before we started recording, and I would like to talk about it. If everybody would remember correctly, I think it was GP Atlanta when we were getting ready to when they were getting ready to release Kaladesh.
Mm-hmm.
You had to pre-register for that Grand Prix by September 3rd. And if you did not pre-reg before September 3rd, you did not get the playmat. This is kind of the same thing that's happening with Grand Prix Pittsburgh, except the playmat is only available in the $85 mega package.
Yeah, and what's the $85 mega package is? First of all, obviously $85. It's also only available online until January 6th. Today is December the 23rd, to put this in perspective. So from the date of this recording, you have 2 weeks from today.
Yep.
That seems important. And for this $85, what you get is your main event entry, the Grand Prix Pittsburgh playmat with art by John Avon. Keep in mind, I don't actually know what the playmat is. And they don't have a picture of it on the website, so...
It's a mystery box.
yeah.
It could be anything.
I feel
it
like
could even
it's-
be a boat.
I feel like it's not going to be Toy Boat.
I really feel that it's not Toy Boat because
You get the
John Avon didn't do that.
You get the exclusive Grand Prix foil, which I don't know which one is that now?
That is Progenitus.
Oh, blah.
Uh-huh.
Non-alternate
You
art.
get the sleep-in special if you have buys. If you don't have buys, you don't get it. The online deck registration tool, which I feel like they should just let everybody use. I don't know why they don't just, like... I feel like that's not a feature. That'd be like a DVD on the back saying it has a menu.
Because they want the players' meeting to go as long as possible.
You get a pack of sleeves, a score pad and a pen, and
That's worth it.
and a free promotional mini master event that you have to be present on Friday at 11 a.m. to redeem.
I'll be there.
Meanwhile, the main event only registration, keep in mind that this package doesn't come with the playmat. You can get it for $75 and you can register it by February the 9th, or you can pay $85 for late registration on the 10th. And this has all the stuff in it except the playmat. So essentially, they're charging you $10 to get the playmat.
Which you can actually vendor that playmat for $10 and get your $10 back. Or you can eBay it like a month later and get $30 for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it feels like they shouldn't be charging for the playmats, is what my opinion, because those are supposed to be Wizards gives those out to give to people as part of and keep in mind, $75 is a lot of money for a GP registration already, but then to have to pay 10 more on top of it.
Yeah.
To get one of the free things that you're supposed to get for registering early.
Well,
It just feels scummy.
it does, and what makes me kind of irritated about it is that I don't think there's actually a person that doesn't want the playmat because they can reaccrue some of the cost that they lost.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's no longer free is the scummy part about it.
But that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. They're charging you to get the playmat.
And we also don't even know what it is yet, so do we even
All
know
we
if
know
it's going to be worth it?
Yeah, all we know is that it's by John Avon.
If it's by John Avon, it's probably a land art and it's probably gorgeous.
Probably, but
But still.
well, I mean, the thing is, it could be one of those original drawings, the ones that the one they had
Yeah.
at the last GP that was done by Ryan E.
Yeah.
It could be something like that. So, I mean, I'm sure it's gonna look nice because John Avon's freaking amazing. But, I feel I don't know. I've kind of already said my piece on this.
Yeah, I honestly, I really don't care. Like, I do, because I do like getting that playmat.
Mhm.
But it's whatever. Still going to play in the event. It's still going to be 2 days of grinding. So, it's whatever.
I'm not, because I got other stuff I got to do.
Oh, aren't you special?
Oh, well, I'm sorry. I'm just,
Mr.
doing...
Perfect.
I'm not Mr. Perfect. I'm Mr. Doing Things for the podcast.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, okay.
What?
Well, I don't know. I was going to, talk to some people and see if maybe we could get some guest shout-outs or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, that'd be cool. I know that if Angelo was still doing pit imps, we could probably get a shout out on there, but he is not.
Well, I'll just, walk around, see who's free, maybe get... I know I at least want to try and talk to the artists at some point, because a lot of times they're dead, so they're pretty good targets.
I'm going to try to talk to some pros, because I said I was going to do that last time, and I didn't.
We should probably get some tape recorders.
I was just going to use my phone.
Or, yeah, that too.
Yeah. So, gentlemen, would we like to talk about learning experiences?
Sure.
We don't talk about mistakes. We talk about learning experiences, because as a table, we do not make mistakes.
You sound like an afternoon school special.
Yes, this is the point, because this is the greatest philosophy to have, because nothing in life is truly a mistake unless you can't fix it.
That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've made a lot of mistakes then.
No, everything is fixable or a do-over, and in which case it is a learning experience.
Or whenever you play Dark Souls like I do, every mistake or learning experience is you die.
That's right. That's
Do
why
it.
they do it.
Do
Steep
it
learning
again.
curve. Steep learning curve. Let's do it. All right. So
What'd you get
Bill
frustrated
or
by?
Devin, do you have what a mistake is? First off,
I do.
cool, and not the land masses.
A mistake is defined as an action or judgment that is misguided or wrong.
Okay, short, simple, beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, a learning experience is basically the same thing, except it is something that you can learn from. So, a mistake is a learning experience, especially in a game. So, if you, let's say, you bolt a Tarmogoyf with no instant in the yard and it's 2 toughness right off. Is this a mistake or is it a good play?
You said you bolt the Goyf and there's no instant in the yard.
Right.
And
It's a mistake.
It's 1-2.
Right.
It's absolutely a mistake.
It is not. Do you know why?
Why?
Because it is only a 1-2. It'll be a 2-3 upon resolution and still die to the bolt.
Okay.
But if it's a 2-3 with no incident in the yard,
That's the mistake.
that's the mistake, because that is a learning experience. The reason why it's a learning experience is because it teaches players state-based effects and actions.
Or it causes said player to wing something at their opponent's head, which has
Right.
happened to me a couple of times because it's like, well, that Goyf should be dead. Nope.
No, it's not. But the reason being is this is actually a teachable experience because it teaches layers in the game. So you don't make the mistake again unless you're not paying attention.
The biggest problem with that is you have to be capable and of the mindset to learn.
Right.
You can have this interaction with people, and if they don't learn from it, then it is a mistake.
Exactly. Which is why we have to help them be more inclined to learning.
Keep bolting that Goyf.
Yes.
The other one is, was it the show and tell, where player goes Emrakul, opponent goes O-ring, hit your Emrakul.
Yeah, that is another one. But I really don't feel that that's a mistake as much as it is a meta call. So this is actually just kind of like you slap the back of their hand, you slap their wrist. No, you don't get that Emrakul,
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is they waste their show and tell, and instead of playing whatever it is they were going to play, they have to waste it on removal.
Yeah.
So essentially, you're asking, if you're facing this situation and you have an Emrakul, you're asking yourself, do I think they have removal? And if they do, assuming they do I care?
Well,
Exactly.
Every legacy.
Because you're pulling one of their shows out of their hand, and you're also pulling one of their removal spells out of their hand.
Yeah.
Well, there's also, I want to say every legacy tournament I've been to, like major legacy tournament, there's at least somebody pulling a judge aside for like 20 minutes. Why is this hitting my Emrakul?
Yeah. Which, again, This is another thing
How
where
many legacy tournaments have you been to?
I'm trying to think.
I can't.
5 at least.
I was gonna say I can't name
And
a legacy tournament.
And
I've been to a lot of them.
And I'm pretty sure they have all been in Columbus.
Yeah, that's fair because whenever they do like some sort of stop, it's never standard for SEG or anything. It's always modern or legacy. The only time that I've played in like a large SEG event were the Premier IQs or whatever, and those things were standard, but that was because they were run by Comic Town and Pastimes.
Another common mistake / learning experience, especially in Legacy, remembering stifles a card. Sometimes the hard way.
Yeah, that is a big thing. Yeah. Now, we're going to talk a little bit of psychology real quick. Why do we feel bad when we make a mistake?
Because it potentially loses us the game, more than likely.
Okay. But
Which you just lost to.
Let's not say, like, just in Magic. Why do we feel bad when we make a mistake?
Because it's negative.
Evolutionarily speaking, our systems, when we make a mistake, do something that is not optimal, we feel bad in an attempt to avoid doing it again.
Right. Because it is the least efficient thing to waste the energy to make a mistake than it is to get it right the first time. And the reason being that we feel bad is, like you said, evolution says we need to learn from this to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Stop doing it.
Yes. So it's kind of like, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but Cyanide and Happiness has a TV show that they used to do. And the 4th episode was a voiceover telling them to stop doing that. And there was a guy hitting himself with a hammer. And he says, lately, I've been up all night hitting myself with a hammer. I can't sleep. What should I do? And the voiceover says, stop doing that. And he stops hitting himself with a hammer. And he says, wow, that's great. Thanks. That's what evolution is basically doing. It's telling us to stop hitting ourselves in the head with a hammer. Now, that's basically the only thing I can say, because that is also, like, it's very dirty. You know, and I can't say the rest of it. But that's the most clean example that's in there. So what can we do to make ourselves feel better after we do make the mistake?
Laugh it off.
I mean, you could do that, Bill. Yeah, you could do that. We're not going to say what that was, but we could do that.
Endorphins.
Yeah, there we go.
At least mine was safe for work. So.
Yeah. Yours was safe for work. Bill's was visual, and it was great. But, like, in my opinion, the positive can-do attitude is the thing that's the best, because I just bolted a 2/3 Tarmogoyf with no instant in the yard. Whoops. Won't do that again.
Whoopsies.
Yeah. Yeah. And basically that mistake is actually a learning experience. So
Hopefully.
Yeah, so everything that I've done that's a mistake in the gameplay is now a learning experience for later on.
Learning experience from you last week whenever we were playing EDH. How many times did you bring back the Magister of Worth and be like, oh, wait, this is going to blow up the board. Whoops.
I was very, 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 very tired.
I'm going to clone your Magister of Worth, wipe the board. Okay. Or call Grace. Okay, I'll bring mine back, wipe the board. Crap.
At least I had a ton of triggers. That's all that mattered.
Were you triggered?
Oh, yeah. So were you.
You should have seen the
only have one
triggering
trigger.
that went on earlier when I got to play Rise of the Dark Realms and I got
Oh
30
my.
creatures back.
It was beautiful.
Literally, I had to, after I got done resolving all my enter the battlefield triggers, I had to push up my horde, like physically push them forward so I could see my lands.
I've had that happen at Gen Con one time. I had a Rise of the Dark Realms go off.
So, I'm sorry, Jeff. Go ahead.
No one expected it.
Yeah.
Just like how no one ever expects Scrambleverse either. And they're like, seriously, you're playing that card like turn 30?
Yep.
Yep. Because
Yep.
I don't have a board. You guys have boards. I want some of it.
This is socialism at work. So, anyway, the ways that you make yourself feel better. Obviously, like I said, the positive can-do attitude goes a long way. Learning from your mistakes, to have those learning experiences, are very important as well. Now, what are some mistakes that you all have made just playing Magic in the last, I don't know, month and a half, 2 months.
Played the wrong land.
Okay. What did you do?
Think I have a green source. Well, the modern tournament that we had, think I have a green source to play the Goyf. I'm like, wait, I have double black. Whoops.
Okay, so you basically just reached into your hand and grabbed the wrong land and put it in play and went to play your Goyf.
Yeah.
Okay. So what did you learn from that?
Actually, look at the hand.
Okay. So what else are we going to do?
What do you mean?
Like, what did you actually learn other than looking at your hand? Did you learn anything else? Like, what can we do to prevent this from happening again? Like, should we slow down?
Well, according to Josh Milligan, don't play junk in Modern and play junk in Modern.
Well, that's not the answer we're looking for. This is a serious thing, though. We can't just use the cop-out. And that is a cop-out. The solution that we have here is we need to slow down, observe what we have going on, and we need to make sure that we make the right play. Which in this case, with your single black mana in play, I'm assuming it was just a swamp. Because you probably thought seized. You need to play your Overgrown Tomb or your Forest here so you can play your Goyf. And instead you played your swamp.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you just need to slow down, take a look, observe what you have going on, and then just make the play accordingly. That's all it is. Devin, did you have anything?
Not really. Just I don't know. The biggest thing I do is I don't really assess what's going on when I'm trying to play fast.
Yeah.
Especially in Hearthstone.
I
Yeah.
don't.
So what? You're reactive.
I don't know. It varies, because like most of the time is I don't really practice decks that often, and so I keep bad hands.
Yeah, me too.
Same.
So
I feel like that's just a universal thing, like the want to keep bad hands. Because there's something really juicy that you can do if you can just get that third land.
Yeah, look at what Newmont the Nummy did. I think it was 2 days ago playing Vintage Cube. He kept like a kind of awkward opener. Excuse me. He kept kind of an awkward opener, but if he drew anything that cost like 1 to 2 mana or drew a card, he had a turn 1 kill in Vintage Cube. So he kept Lotus, LED, Dark Salvation. Well, not Dark Salvation. I think it's Dark. The tutor from Magic Origins.
Oh, Dark Offering?
That might be it. And he had like Yawgmoth's Will and a couple other things. So what he did was he went Lotus, LED, sacked the Lotus to play Yawgmoth's Win, and then he popped his LED to discard his hand. That way everything had flashback. And then he proceeded to Dark Offering or whatever it's called to go get Repeal and something else. And then he Imperial Sealed to go get Tendrils of Agony on top of his deck. He repealed his Black Lotus to his hand, played the Black Lotus, cracked the Lotus, and then Tendrils to his opponent for 20 on turn 1. This isn't Cube. This is Draft. He managed to do this during the new MCGO Christmas Draft or whatever it's called. And he kept his hand just because of the possibility that he had something. And he had it. I mean, I would have gone for it. Hands down, would have.
Live the dream.
Could go
Yeah.
back to the other mistake, which is play a fetch land into a stifle, and then you learn play the mountain instead.
That's the thing, though. Like, that could happen to anybody.
Yeah.
Like, the reason why you want to avoid playing a fetch land when your opponent has 1 blue up is to avoid the stifle. You don't have to really worry about it all the time because people don't really play the stifle. Stifle is not a card that you see often. And when you see it, you're like, huh, that's back in the format. It's kind of like with Affinity. Affinity goes away in Modern, and then when people stop putting hate in for their sideboard for Affinity rears its ugly head, wins about 3 months in a row, and then it starts getting hated out of the format again. So, I mean, it's always going to be there.
Some people want that to happen to Infect, but
That's not going to happen anytime soon, just because the only card... They wouldn't ban the whole deck outright. They would ban 1 card from it, and if they were going to ban a card from it, I am almost certain that that card would be the. Oh man, I can't remember the name of it.
Become immense.
Yeah, Become Immense.
I want to say it
Well-
quietly because I'm not even close.
Well, it doesn't matter, but yeah, if they were gonna ban a card out of it, it would be Become Immense because that's what lets them get like a turn 2 kill, unless they get one specific hand, I think, that can do it without it. But even I'm not totally sure on that.
The deck can get a turn 2 if the opponent doesn't have anything on turn 1 for a blocker or anything like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it's a very exact science, but you can get there really easily. All you need is like 2 lands, a Glistener Elf, and Mutagenic Growth.
yeah.
Might
or,
of
like,
Growth is really good too.
I think you could. Well, no. Yeah, you would pretty much. It would have to be like several Mutagenic Growths and then 2 4/4, or like a Mutagenic Growth and then 2 pump spells.
Yeah.
Which I mean is doable, but is a lot harder of a combination than like 2 Gitaxian Probes and a fetch land and Become Immense. So like, and the thing is, if they ban that card, then Death Shadow sucks.
Yeah, it really does. And the thing that WotC does, and I noticed this, and I really like it, is that they don't try to kill a deck entirely. They try to make it to where the deck is still able to be played. So we look. The only time that we have actually seen a deck just get flat out killed is Splinter Twin.
I was about ready to say that.
Yeah.
Until the Splinter Twin players.
Yeah, but that deck is still playable. It just goes under a different name now. Kiki Chord. Yeah, and that's the really cool thing is that they actually do that. Like they find ways to make the deck still viable, even though they have to change the makeup completely. Like this combo is still there. It's just with 2 different cards, or in this case, like 1.
Yeah.
But people still complain about it. Like whatever.
It just takes until like what, turn 4 or 5 to actually get
Yeah,
the kill.
it's 5. Yeah.
And instead of turn 4.
Just play Harambe. You'll be fine. Put Harambe in your deck. You can go off on turn 3. Stop complaining. But to go back to what you were saying, Devin, about you don't really practice too much. You keep crappy hands just because of the possibility of getting there. What is one way that we could do this? That we could curb this?
Have time to practice.
That helps. But what if you don't?
Then I'm screwed.
Actually, there is something that we could do. We need to not be greedy.
Magic players.
Greedy as in.
Greedy
Don't
as
keep bad hands in the hope that you're gonna get there.
like
That's not why I keep them, though. I don't like Mulligan.
I don't either. I mean, I went to the Gerard Fabiano School for Magic too. Never mulligan, never go second. And you know something? I try to do no mulligans, and I don't win games.
Yeah.
So,
But when I have to mulligan down to 5, I only have black sources with white cards.
But how often? The thing is, a lot of times your first mull is the only mull, and since we've introduced the Vancouver mulligan, I feel like mulling to 6 is not nearly as bad as it used to be, and even mulling to 5's not horrid.
do you know how many mulligans to 5 I won during the PPTQ that I won here?
No.
I won all 3 of them I had that day. And I'm playing control. My opponent kept 7 each time. So, mulliganing is not nearly as bad as it used to be. Now, keep in mind, when Magic first came out, the original mulligan rule was 0 and 7. You could only mulligan if you had 0 lands in your hand or 7 lands in your hand. And you only got 1 mulligan. But it was a free mulligan.
Yeah.
Yeah. But chances are, if you took that free mulligan, you probably still got a handful of nothing. So, I mean, it happens. Now, since they introduced the Paris mulligan, which is what we just left, that one was the one where you went from 7 to 6 to 5. But you could mulligan anything. Now, with the Vancouver mulligan, it made it closer to what a lot of card games have now, like with Hearthstone.
Yeah.
How it starts with, I guess you could call it a partial Paris. Because you do get to throw away 2 of your 3 cards or whatever, and you get 2 back. I think that this is the closest that we can get to a free mulligan in competitive Magic. Until they introduce an actual free mulligan to help
Yeah.
the Magic Duels learning people. because that's actually why they introduced it, was to try to make people not feel bad about mulliganing away hand.
Well, that, and apparently, like, according to some, like, MTG conspiracy theorists, it was because, like, the Pro Tour prior to that got really screwed up because a bunch of people had to take mulligans, and it led to a bunch of really crappy games.
Yeah, and a lot of them were on feature matches.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it was just terrible to watch because...
Yeah.
A little bit off topic, but I feel like this is relevant. I'm reading a thread on Reddit right now called "What was your favorite judge call?"
Oh,
and I feel like there are some definite mistakes and learning experiences in this thread.
All right, so here's my judge call to you. All right, so if I play an ass whooping and I mind bend it from silver to black, and then I radiate it and I stand on my chair, do I destroy every permanent in a Grand Prix?
No, because you can't see every card in a Grand Prix based on the fact that even if you were standing on your seat, which I'm not sure if standing on your seat is permitted, because you have to leave your seat to stand on the seat.
Well, that's the thing. You can stand on your seat because you never left your seat.
But how do you stand on the seat without leaving it for some small period of time?
Bill's doing it right now.
You just separated from it right there.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, you did.
His feet are still on it.
All right, so fine. I'll concede the point that you can do it without leaving the chair. But you also can't see every permanent in the Grand Prix from standing in your seat, because from where you are, you're standing above everybody else, but everybody else is like sitting like I am, which means you have their natural buffer to where you can't see parts of their field. You'll be able to see a lot of it, but like, for example, whatever is closest to them, probably their lands, you won't be able to see because you won't be able to see through them. So like their body gives them, like, I know this is audio, but like it gives you it gives you kind of like just like a foot or two in front of you. It gives you coverage from your own, like, your torso section. So no, you cannot destroy every permanent at a Grand Prix.
I actually think you can, because it doesn't state that you can actually see. It just states that you have to target it.
You have to see from your seat.
Okay, that's fair. But technically, you can still see their lands because that is public knowledge.
But you can't. No, you can't, because the thing is, you would have to leave your seat to be able to see it from your seat.
Okay, so do we just blow up everybody on the opposite sides of the table's lands? And
Yeah.
then like, it's just the side with the land.
Yeah, just screw over half the Grand Prix.
So what if you're in like a wheelchair?
We're not going there.
I'm not saying like it's there, because like you can move around while it's still in your seat.
But the problem.
Wow. I
So,
think we
like-
broke the format.
But here's the Yeah, just be crippled.
You don't have to be crippled.
You don't have to be. You
just use a
can
wheelchair.
you can have like your leg in a cast or something, like in an air cast.
Well, that's
that's how we do it. We get an air cast and we get a wheelchair and we just wheel around. It's like, I want to destroy that thing.
Well, what I'm saying. Well, the only thing is, you couldn't like go around and pick out everybody's permanents all at once, because the thing is, you have a certain amount of time to resolve your spell, and if you don't, that's slow play. That's why we can't play Four Horsemen.
No. We can't play Four Horsemen because nobody has the mental capacity to play that deck.
Okay, then we can't play eggs,
No, we have people that can play eggs.
but not in the amount of time they're given.
The thing is,
Not in the amount of time you're given. Mr. I'ma keep bad hands wants to tell me that he can play 2 rounds of eggs in under 50 minutes.
I have many of times.
My opponent did play 2 rounds of eggs in less than 50 minutes against me with Infect, but he did miss both of those games.
See, the good thing about eggs, they're really worried about bad hands.
That's because you put all your eggs in a basket.
Exactly. You know how many games I won without having a single land card?
You don't need land in that deck.
Exactly.
You just need 1 mana rock and hope it gets there.
Boom.
Yeah. All right. So the mistake that we're fixing is the learning experience that we're having is that we need to stop taking less bad hands, and we need to mulligan more, even though we hate it. there is a stigma on mulliganing. I agree that mulliganing sucks, but it is a lot better now than it used to be, and you should get over yourself and take a mulligan once in a while.
I'm not going to mulligan before.
That's fair. That's completely fair.
Jared, girls are funny. Get over it.
You need to get over yourself. Now, Bill, what do you got?
I'm a bad Magic player, so I make mistakes all the time. Learning experiences. I still make mistakes because I'm still working on some of them.
Okay.
I would say my biggest one is probably sequencing.
Okay. So, do you want to know how to fix that really quick? Play Hearthstone. Like, dead serious. Play Hearthstone.
Okay.
Yeah, because a lot of the cards in Hearthstone actually have to do with things that you have done either in that turn already or that you have already done before that turn started. So there's a card called Small Time Buccaneer. It just came out in Gadgets, and it's a 1-mana 1/2 that if you have a weapon equipped, it gets +2 attack. So in Hearthstone, almost all the time playing Warrior is a 3/2. There's another card that was released in the basic set called, oh god, I can never remember this card. South Sea Deckhand, I think it's called. It is a 1-mana 2/1 that as long as you have a weapon equipped has charge, which is haste.
Oh.
Yeah. So your sequence here is that you want to play your N'Zoth First Mate to give yourself a 1/3 weapon. And then you want to play your South Seas Deckhand. That way it has haste. Basically, you don't want to play the Deckhand and then play your N'Zoth First Mate and pass.
Yeah.
Even though it gets the charge already, but you missed it because it got haste.
Right.
Yeah. So there's cards like Edwin Van Cleef, who is a 3-mana 2/2 that gets +2/+2 for every spell that you played that turn. And it's a rogue card. And I've seen people play Van Cleef first, and then they comboed off. He's a 2/2 because you played 8 spells after you cast him. Now, if you play your 8 spells and then your Van Cleef, what?
I just noticed on the waveform when you said the word after, you like cracked really hard on it.
Yes!
Yeah.
So, anyway, you play your Van Cleef after your 8 cards. That way, it's an 18/18 instead of a 2/2.
Then dies the Shadow Word Death.
Yes, but that's why you conceal it. So Conceal is the only spell you play after you combo with Van Cleef. Because Conceal makes him hexproof.
Seems reasonable.
Yeah, yeah. So
I've played a little bit of Hearthstone, but very basic stuff. Nothing with that kind of synergy.
there's a new deck called Pirate Warrior, and it is quick. Oh god, is it quick?
Is that what you were playing earlier?
Yes.
Yeah, that looked
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, it is really cool. It is the hyper aggro deck of the format right now.
Nice.
But it has small little synergies in the deck that make it to where you actually like are able to just out of nowhere dome your opponent for like 20. And
Yeah,
just kill
I
them.
saw that.
Yeah.
You just crack someone for 13 out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Unless your name is Crip, in which case you draw
Kriparian.
Kriparian.
Yes.
And you draw patches on turn 1.
6 games in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically what this deck does is an ultra hyper aggro deck. Think of mono white humans from like last standard.
Okay.
Okay. So it runs a bunch of 1 and 2 drop pirates, a couple 3 drops, and it runs a 1/1 for 1 called Patches. Patches is, like I said, a 1/1 for 1 that has charge, but if you play a pirate and Patches is in your deck, he summons himself to the board and he has haste still and attacks.
He doesn't have charge. He has charge.
Oh, he has charge, just like Sky Captain Krog, I think his name is. Yeah.
Charge.
Yeah. So your sequencing here is your hand is Small Time Buccaneer, N'Zoth's First Mate, and a South Sea Deckhand. And let's say you're going second, so you have the coin. And then you have some I'm going to say Immortal Strike, which is 4 mana for 4 damage unless your health is 12 or less, I think. Then it deals 6. Yeah. So your sequencing here would be Small Time Buccaneer into the into Patches,
Right.
and then you coin out N'Zoth's First Mate. That way you get your 1/3 weapon and you attack for 1, and your Patches still attacks for 1. and then your opponent doesn't really do anything and they pass. You draw your card, and then you go South Sea Deckhand to give it 2-1 in haste, and then hopefully you drew another one, so you just play that one, and you just go face and kill them.
Seems okay.
Yes. So your process that you had to do there was you had to give yourself a weapon, and you also had to make your South Sea Deckhand get charge because of the weapon, and then you also had to give your 1/2 a +2 attack because of your weapon.
Right.
Yeah, so you had to force a lot of different lines, but you played it appropriately because you did it that way. So Pirate Warrior is one of those decks that you can actually learn a lot of sequencing off of, especially when your opponent's gaining life. And that sucks when it happens.
Reno.
Hey, I won through 2 Renos playing Pirate Warrior today. My opponent brewmastered it back to his hand.
He was that desperate.
He was.
So I have played and can play Hearthstone, but if I don't want to, what would be a good Magic deck to help me learn proper sequencing?
EDH.
I do that, and I make all kinds of mistakes in EDH.
Well, the problem is the problem with your line of reasoning on that is that your commander decks are not tuned.
This is true. They're
And
pretty much out of the box.
The thing is, like, I put a lot of work into customizing my decks. So the thing is, like, as I put each piece into place, it kind of I'm kind of able to see how each individual card interacts with other cards in the deck, and then I can also see the whole thing as like a big picture thing.
Yeah.
So basically, in order to let EDH be your learning tool, I would say building a deck from the ground up would probably be your best bet. And the thing is, there's a lot of decks that you can build for less than $100.
Yeah. And the other thing, there's a dead format that we used to play all the time called Type 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a good way.
Is that extended?
Type 4 is actually a multiplayer format where you basically play off of the same deck. Each player is only allowed to play 1 sorcery speed spell on their turn, and then they're allowed as many instants. So this is a good way to learn not only sequencing, but the stack. And there's a lot of weird interactions that happen in Type 4 because we have no mana. Yeah. So, like, let's say somebody, I don't know, fireballs everybody for $1 million because, there's no mana. So you have counter spells, you have people preventing damage to themselves, you have more counter spells, and then you also have, like, prevention of damage that deals damage back to the owner. So you have all these weird interactions that can happen all at once, and it just makes the game crazy. And the reason why it helps with you learn to stack is because you'll have the 1 sorcery speed spell at the bottom of the stack, and then everybody's doing all these things all in response.
The instants in response, yeah.
Yeah. And there's different things that you have to do in order to not die at different times.
Okay, so now off topic, why is that a dead format? That actually sounds pretty awesome.
It is very awesome, but the problem is getting all the cards together again, because you have to play with a lot of different cards. It's kind of like a cube.
that makes sense.
It's kind of like a cube, but it's so high powered that you don't even really pay attention to what's going on. Like my Type 4 stack I had before, I had 14 Quickens in it, just because I wanted more sorceries played at instant speed.
Seems reasonable.
Yeah. There was a couple foil Quickens in there, too. They were sexy.
Wasn't the last time we played Type 4, I somehow did a time stop that got uncountered, and then I won off of that somehow?
Yeah.
I did like a door to nothingness on somebody, I think.
My favorite one was Scott always got stuck with the Zoetic Cavern, because we would draft it, and then we would play it.
Right.
Yeah, he would always get stuck with the Zoetic Cavern. So he had first picked a Morph instead of the Zoetic Cavern, and then he got stuck with it. So, like, he plays the Morph and he passes. Josh plays Door to Nothingness, gets it untapped, and then he tries to shoot Scott with it. I was already dead. He shoots Scott with the door, he flips over a Willbender and puts it back at Josh.
This is why you always assume every Morph is Willbender.
Willbender wasn't even legal in Standard the last time that we had Morph, and I still thought it was Willbender. But do you understand how you can fix your sequencing? Like, honestly, you can also play aggro decks in Magic and learn sequencing a little easier too. Like your Thalia's Lieutenants. When's a good time to play your Thalia Lieutenant? Probably when you have 2 to 3 creatures on the board. that's probably the best time to do it. Sometimes you'll be stuck doing it on one, which kind of sucks, but it could be necessary.
There have been times I've played Thalia's lieutenant earlier due to early threats, just to
Get a bigger butt.
basically, yeah.
Like,
I guess that's another, not just sequencing, but analyzing the situation and trying to figure out when I have options, what option is the best for me to take. And right now, I am learning by trial and error.
yeah.
Well, see, that actually is that's actually another gameplay mechanic called threat assessment. And you know where you can learn that at? In Commander.
Yep.
Because there is no format that teaches you better about threat assessment than Commander. Like, I'm just going to say it outright. Because you have a lot of different angles to consider and a lot of different lines of play. So, learning what you can ignore and what you have to get rid of right now becomes a priority.
It's I like to jokingly call it like geometry and billiards because this is kind of the same beast if you think about it.
Yeah.
Because you have to align your shot just right against the wall sometime to get around the 8-ball and to not cause your foul or whatever. In EDH, sometimes that 8-ball is the guy that has no permanence. Like, they just have their lands and a couple mana rocks, and that's it. Like, we see that a lot whenever I play Brago. But, like, you just have to determine who is actually the problem at the table. A lot of times it's this gentleman right here.
A lot of times. I've
yeah.
come to that realization.
Until I drop Thalia.
When you drop Thalia, it just kind of makes people sad. But people get over it. When Dakota drops,
14
Omnath.
elemental tokens off of Omnath.
yeah, people tend to perk up and pay attention. But by then, it's too late.
But I will say that living the dream in Thalia is dropping Master of Cruelties off of the Thalia trigger.
I think what you mean is Kalia.
Well, okay, yeah. Dur. I don't know my commander's name, Dur.
That's fair. That's completely fair.
Well, see, Kali is actually really good for teaching sequencing, too,
Yeah.
because you have to figure out what you want to drop early,
Yeah.
because you have to watch out for board wipes.
Yep.
So you have to figure out when to, like, push and when to hold back.
Now, it also teaches resolution really well, too, because of interactions like Master of Cruelties and such.
My favorite is Ward Scale Dragon. You know what that card does?
No.
That card says, it's a flying 4/4 dragon. It's from Dragons of Tarkir or whatever. It said, or no, it's from Fate Reforged. But
Okay.
it says,
Still don't know.
as long as Ward Scale Dragon is attacking, opponents can't play spells.
Oh, that's really cool.
And a lot of people are like, well, it didn't declare an attack. I'm like, it doesn't.
It's still
it,
tapped and
it didn't have to declare an attack. It says as long as it's attacking, bro.
Yeah,
The other-
it's still tapped in.
The other one is Charizard.
Oh, yeah, the Flame Tongue, or no, whatever he is. The 5/5 dragon that has, like,
Fire breathing.
Fireball.
When you declare it as an attacker.
Yeah. From Shards of Alara. Oh.
See, the only card I can think of that has like damage attached to it like that, I keep thinking of Bogard and Hellkite.
It's 5 and a red for a dragon that has flying, and I think that's the only spell. Well, the only ability on it. And then it has X and a red. Well, when it attacks, you can pay X and a red, deal X damage to target creature or player. And it's a 5/5.
Wait, I think you're talking about Mordant Dragon. That was from
No.
Worldwake.
I know it starts with an F. That's all I remember. Flame Blast Dragon. Yep, that's it. Yeah, so it's 4 double red. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a common misconception that you can pay the cost. However,
Yep.
you have
to actually declare it.
not while it's attacking. It's
Yeah.
whenever it attacks.
Yeah. Now, obviously, the reason why I call it Charizard is because it does Fire Blast. Didn't even have to get the TM from Blaine.
Does Blaine give I thought he gave the TM for Flamethrower, because I thought you got Fire Blast at the mall.
No, you learned Flamethrower. You also got the TM for it at the mall. You're actually thinking about it backwards. The Celadon City, I guess it would be shopping center.
Yeah.
That was where you got flamethrower. Blaine gave you fire blast.
Huh. They must have changed that, because I swear in every other game it was you bought Fire Blast, and then Flamethrower you usually had to find somewhere, and it was usually like late game, because Flamethrowers are really good.
It's
like,
ridiculous.
Just general. Well, I mean, like, it's the same as, like, Thunderbolt and Ice Beam. They're just all really good coverage moves with
Was
perfect
it like
accuracy.
85 power, 100 accuracy?
No, flamethrower was 90 and 100.
Yeah, they're all 90 and 100 now.
Fire blast was 120 and 85.
Yeah.
Yes.
Basically, it's the same thing as Thunder and Hydro Pump.
All right, now I'm going to brag about something real quick. If you follow my Twitter, you saw what my cousin gave me for Christmas was an original copy of Red in Japanese. We were playing it today on my GameCube, and it's really difficult to decipher everything when you don't know what it says.
And that's why I'm not that jealous.
So the way that I had determined what's going on is I'm taking the first character of every item I pick up, and I try to coordinate. Okay, so the telephone pole at the beginning of this means it's a potion, and then the telephone pole that makes it an E is a Pokeball.
We're really sorry to all of our Japanese fans out there for not understanding your language.
I am so sorry. I tried to learn it to play Mother 3, and I just couldn't do it.
Do you think we should tell them about the playmat?
No.
No, we should leave.
No.
We should leave that off.
Okay.
Thank you, Josh Phillips, for the idea.
I might just get it made for myself, and then hope I don't run into any Japanese players.
Speaking of, I showed you the playmat that I saw at the SCG Open, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Donald Trump on the superimposed over Urza's Rage.
Yeah.
Yeah, make Magic great again. Yeah, that was fantastic.
I just want to get a playmat with like his face in the center of it, and then like bordering it is the art of every wall they've ever printed.
I just want to see it with Wall of Flesh, and that's the only one.
What, are you trying to make the art look worse?
Yeah, that art was already hideous. I would like to see it worse.
Well, why don't we just put some like
Hashtag not my president.
Why don't we just put some? Dang it, Jaron! Now I'm gonna have to edit that out.
Why?
Because otherwise we're gonna get a flame war in the comments, and I don't think we have the expertise to deal with that.
That's because we just ignore it.
That's what YouTube's for.
Yeah.
But it'll get us subs.
It could. You're gonna have to edit that out.
It didn't pick it up.
I don't believe you.
Well, I'll double check.
I guess you're gonna have to listen to the podcast.
I do listen to it.
Or just
I'm the first person that listens to it after we record it. Thank you.
or just cut this whole section out.
Why? Why? This is comedy gold.
And we can just cut the choice bits out. All
Hashtag
right, well,
Dakota's a fascist.
Hey, you can have it unedited, but I'm not cutting the first 20 minutes of it out either.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I'm okay with that.
What?
Anyway.
All right, so
now that we're done making idle threats.
okay, so now Dakota, what play mistakes or anything like that have you done lately that you feel are learning experiences?
See, here's the issue with that. I haven't played a lot of Magic lately because, as I mentioned on a previous episode, winter is kind of like my taking off, my break from Magic. And I haven't even really been drafting lately, like, because I'm too broke to draft. And also I'm just kind of sick of Kaladesh, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, like, the problem is I don't have any notable play mistakes that stick out in my mind. Like, I'm flat empty on it.
Okay, so do you have anything game-wise?
Well, I mean, like, I could talk... If you really want to listen to me talk about how much I've died and let it die...
Perfect. Okay, what we got?
Alright, so basically... A lot of people have been comparing Let It Die to like Dark Souls, which isn't true necessarily.
Man vs. Game is playing it currently. Well, I guess he's done playing it now.
Yeah, he gave up on it because he did not like the pay model, which when you get up to like floor 20, I think he said it was, he noticed that death metals.
Well, here's the problem. When you hit floor 16 and unlock grade 3 fighters, the game kind of forces you to hit the brakes, and instead of like power rushing the tower, which you were pretty much able to do at that point, you have to kind of slow down and start grinding for materials. Like right now, I'm stuck at floor 20 where he's at, and I'm currently farming bosses and different gold chests to gain materials with low drops. But the thing is, a lot of people are like, oh, it's pay to win because you can just buy death metals, which are the game's premium currency, to revive. But that's not true either. Because it's true that you can buy death metals to get revives, but you really can't buy premium materials. And without the materials, even if you have infinite death metal, you're not going to get that far because you'll just pop like a freaking balloon every hit.
Yeah.
2-shot, 3-shot.
Not even 2-shot, 3-shot. Like, on floor 20, the enemies gain axes and pole arms that can one-shot you. Like, so and most of the time they can break through your guard too. So you either have to have the good timing to get a perfect guard, or you have to do like most people do and grind on the hot iron to unlock its skill, which is the R1 trigger, which is basically a perfect guard with a longer cooldown.
So everything you're saying here, you had to make a mistake and die to it to have this learning experience.
Pretty much. Like,
yes.
Well, for example, the game forces you to kind of like learn different aspects about it. Like, probably my least favorite aspect about it is the invisible timer that you have on each floor. Because when you hit, I believe it's either floor 7 or floor 9, the game institutes an artificial timer in the form of the Jackals. And what the Jackals are is they are a group of they're body collection or body collectors. They, like, the in-game lore is like they were hired by like the bosses of the tower to come in and clean up all the dead bodies or whatever, and deliver them to the Dawns, which then reanimate them into the enemies you fight in the game. But the thing is, after a certain amount of time on each floor, it's supposed to be different. But right now, they just brought it's still early in the game's like life cycle, and they had the Jackals in at first, but then there was this one guy, shout out to my boy Cyber Assassin 24, for doing a 20-hour stream where he glitched a Jackal into an elevator, causing it to freeze up, and then he spent 20 hours punching it to death. It got so much attention that the devs joined the stream.
Wow.
And the way they kicked an emergency maintenance at him, so he didn't even get to keep, after he finished killing the Jackal finally, he didn't get to keep what it dropped. But they did say they were sending him some cool like merchandise and stuff for showing them the bug, and they took Jackals out for like a week, and it was great because you could take your time with everything and like. But now they brought the Jackals back, but they've screwed up the timer. So like, for example, when you hop off the elevator, if you drop off at a small floor, then the timer's smaller because there's less stuff in it, so it scales. But the problem is it's glitched right now to where the timer doesn't change between floors.
Oh.
So if you go from a small room to a big room and you run up that timer, first of all, to let you know that the timer's invisible. It doesn't like show up on screen. It's just whenever it happens.
It's an actual enrage timer.
And when the timer's up, this loud siren like blasts. So like and immediately a Jackal teleports near you. The thing is, right now the level cap for a player with a grade 5 character, which you unlock at like floor 35, keeping in mind there's 40 floors in the tower, is like a level 135. Jackals are at level 200.
Okay.
And have 6-star equipment.
Yeah.
They can be killed like immediately after they were back into the game. Like 3 people killed them like immediately because there's these mushrooms you can eat that let you like. I believe the combination the guy used was invisible mushroom, so he couldn't be seen. Sting shroom, which is plus 120% offense, negative 60 defense. Crush Room, which is plus 50 offense. And I want to say, I don't think he brain shroomed. I don't think you can brain shroom jackals. And basically, he did a rage attack, which is like a super move, and hit the jackal for like 150,000 damage.
And tickled it.
No, it killed it in one shot.
I was going to say.
They have about 100,000 HP. But considering players cap out at about 15k for like the defensive classes, yeah, they're supposed to be like what you fight after you beat the last boss. Like they're your end game content until they add more floors, which they say they're doing.
Yeah.
But like that is the thing is like it's a game that definitely punishes you for being impatient.
Yeah.
So
like Dark Souls.
And I mean,
What are you talking about? I am nothing but patient when I charge everything head on and try to smack it with my sword, and then I get one-shotted.
But I mean, like, I'm having fun with it, and you know, like, I'm hoping I get all my mats soon so I can finish grinding and start climbing again, because it does get because the thing that keeps me invested is the lore is hilarious because it's a Suda game.
Yeah.
Like, for example, the first, like, okay, minor spoilers right here, so like just skip the next 5 minutes or so if you're interested.
I don't care.
But like there are 4 bosses in the tower. The first one is a crazy redneck who, as a child, learned about body modification. So he cut his own arms off and grafted them onto his head to make precision engineering easier. I don't get how that
did he
works.
graft them on his head without arms attached?
I assume, well, they
One at a time?
Well, actually, I think so because in like there are the collectible comic pages that you pick up to learn about the lore of each of the 4 bosses. They're called the Dawns. And in the first page, it just shows like a 3-year-old Max Sharp with a freaking like buzzsaw in one hand and an arm lopped off, and he's got like a robot hand like sitting down next to him, and his mother's like walking in like dropping her dishes or whatever. But basically, he grafts his arms onto his head, and then also gets robot arms to replace like the arms that he had. So now
he's like a really weird Goro.
Kind of.
Okay, I'm on board.
Machamp.
Yeah. Okay, did I show you Machamp in Sun and Moon whenever he's actually like one of your rideables?
Yes, you did.
That was the best thing ever.
That was pretty fantastic.
But yeah, like you got him, and then the second floor boss is Jackson, who is like this extreme, like this social media guy who's like, his whole shtick is that he would create these crazy explosions, and like he would set up these stunts with explosives to get more likes. And he would do these tests naked because he liked the feel of the blast against his skin. But he does this until he gets himself a lover who is a dude. But then his story ends in sadness when he blows up his lover during one of his crazy stunts. Then proceeds to lose his mind in grief and go back to LA, indiscriminately toss 43 hand grenades into the crowd. And then right as he was arrested, he got his head blown off by one of his grenades. The bosses are all, they're all kind of like Futurama heads where it's just the head part of them. Like, because, for example, the first boss, Max, has his arms grafted to his head. He has his actual hands on his head thing.
Yeah. Nixon's back.
Pretty much.
Get him, headless body of Agnew.
Get him, Agnew.
I still think one of the funnier things was summoning you in a new game +3 and telling you to go get him.
Yeah, but the thing is, what did I do?
Died on.
I died, but I learned, right?
You also screamed at the one hollow that transformed. Why is this guy regenning? I don't know. Maybe stop hitting it with dark damage because he's dark.
Well, I didn't know I was hitting it with dark damage.
You're wielding a deep battle axe. What do you think it's doing?
Don't know what you're talking about.
All right.
Okay,
So
my mistake / learning experience I've had is getting into weeb arguments on Facebook after Tracer was in the comic.
Don't
Honestly, I think this is the best Christmas present that Blizzard could have ever given any of us.
Now Riot needs to like come out and announce that like
Jinx.
no.
Yeah, you jinx. Yeah.
You know what would have been the best Christmas present ever if they didn't just like if Riot would just drop the crap and just say that Tarek is gay.
I don't know who that is, but I'm gonna go with you and agree.
Just
Hold
Google
on.
Armor of the Fifth Age Tarek.
Okay, I'm gonna do it
And make sure you have safe filtering off.
all the time, baby.
I never leave home with it.
What is it?
Armor of the Fifth Age
Armor of the
Tarek.
Fifth Age.
Oh, there it is. Oh my.
And wait till you hear this. His whole like shtick is that he is a gem knight and he uses gems to fight.
I mean, there's some fan art that obviously tell me. yeah, I saw that.
It's pretty fabulous.
Ladies and gentlemen, I do not suggest looking at this unless you have a morbid curiosity like myself. This is gold. Actually, no. It's gems.
purple.
It's purple.
All right. Well, I think it's about time we wrap this up. What do you think?
I would also like to point out that my mistake, for realsies, is that I said a while ago, well, a couple weeks ago, that I need to not deploy my, I need to wait to deploy my removal spells. That was a lie.
You also learned you don't pop an Ember when you're in Farron Woods.
Don't know what you're talking about that.
Or an Anne Orlando. You haven't been there yet, but...
Okay, cool.
If you thought Embering in Farron Woods was bad, you pop an Ember in Anne Orlando, you're immediately invaded by 2 people.
Huh, that's neat. Is that where the Fight Club thing is?
One of 5 locations.
Okay, cool. So, anyway, let's go ahead and do what you said. Let's wrap this thing up.
Put a bow on it.
Yeah,
for
put a bow.
Christmas.
Yeah. So my cat can knock over the tree.
Yes.
Yeah. Shout out to Schrodinger. He's not going to listen, but it's okay because he's a cat.
Now.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, this has been pretty fun experience here on Casually Spike. Since this recording probably won't be going out till probably, I'm going to go ahead and say probably not until the new year. I'm going to be busy.
You jerk.
I'm just going to go ahead and say, have a Merry Christmas. Happy
can't say
holidays. Well, the war on Christmas is over. Rush Limbaugh declared it last week or something.
Oh, isn't that something?
So yeah, we won. We won the war on Christmas.
I guess
Congratulations.
I guess he got back on the oxycodone.
White privilege is back, baby.
It was a white lash.
Man, you like okay, I was going all serious, but we ruined it. Happy New Year, everybody. We
Don't drink too much.
are out.
Be safe.